Let's make sure this thing is on. We clocked in. Hey, what's going on, party people? Hey, now if this is your first time here, welcome. It's definitely a pleasure to have you here. I go by the name of L'Esprit. I am a spiritual healer. And basically, as a spiritual healer, what I do pretty much is that I help people to become mentally and emotionally balanced. And ultimately, what that does is that it allows you to become in alignment with who you are. And as you're doing so, that's how you pretty much increase your consciousness. By you knowing and understanding your true nature, that's pretty much, I mean, the name of the game, the reason why you're here, it's for you to reconnect with you. And that reconnection, that's where, the journey entails pretty much, you linking up different pieces of yourself, bringing them together. That's why the whole idea of mind, body, and soul, what this is referring to, is making all of those different part of you one. That's how you know when you're making it one. So now going back to, we actually break it down in terms of, I help you to become emotionally balanced. And what I mean by that, because I like to give you a little bit of, about how I do it. What I mean about that pretty much, it has nothing to do, let's just say, you not raising your voice or you acting a certain way. Because what I'm seeing, pretty much when people are referring to, being balanced or being in control of your emotions, you wouldn't raise your voice or you wouldn't speak a certain way. Well, I hate to burst your bubble. That has absolutely nothing to do with being in charge of your emotions. I mean, that could be used for other purposes. In fact, that is what I would probably call you wearing a mask. It's a whole different, yeah, it was a whole different thing. But anyway, to get back to the matter at hand. So what I'm talking about pretty much is for you to understand how your emotions are being created, understand what emotions are and how it's being created. And at that point, for you to either create or understand your emotional pattern. And at that point, only then can you master your emotions, meaning now you have make it yours, you know how it works, and you made it work for you according to you. Now, in addition to that, I also help you to become mentally balanced. And it's pretty much the same idea here. When we're talking about being mentally balanced, what I'm truly referring to is you understanding how your mind is being conditioned. Is it being conditioned by you? But for you to do that now, that's when you would have to delve a little bit deeper. That's why this type of knowledge is considered the occult knowledge, because you got to go in to understand it. Meaning, then you would have to understand your culture. But you understanding your culture, you understanding society, this is you look, what I'm saying, like taking a deeper look at things. This is you not taking things for face value. And when we're talking about the occult, I guess I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here, but it has to be said that's exactly what we are referring to. We're referring to, the aspect of yourself that is not seen, but that is there. And for you to have a great grasp on yourself, you have to understand the non physical aspect of you. Because, as I would assume we all know, if your mind is in charge of you and you cannot touch your mind, you see what I'm saying? So it's pretty much in the occult, there's a saying that says, what you see is actually ruled by what you don't see. Oh, these niggas are fancy. I love the language too. But anyway, it's all poetry. But once you get to understand what that is, it's simply referring to having a deeper understanding than what you're looking at. Then when we're talking about the occult, I guess since I was talking about it, it's all, giving you a deeper understanding of who you are. So essentially when I'm talking about, what I do as a spiritual healer, becoming mentally and emotionally balanced, that's what I help you with. And ultimately, as you become in alignment, the goal here is to enhance your consciousness, meaning to have a higher consciousness, as you see in the title. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. You know what I'm saying? Which is having a higher consciousness. So now I guess I've been a little bit ahead of myself. So when also people are talking about Krishna having the Christ consciousness, again, this is simply referring to having a highest, state of enlightenment. That's why, again, spirituality, it's a tool that I use. Okay, but anyway, well, let me slow it down. That's why spirituality is nothing but your story. Spirituality is simply telling you about you. That's what we do in spirituality. So, with all of that being said, now if you're coming back, you already know it's nothing but love. Let's do what we do. Let's break some bread, drink your shit, do what you do, baby. You good over here. Now, with that being said, on my end, I got some action to do. I gotta light some shit up. Mm. Mm-hmm. Making sure we got this motherfucker. We got him. Anyway, you know exactly what we do here, baby. We break bread. This is nothing but love. I'm here to serve you. Each one teach one. I'm here. This is the meeting of the mind where we all get together. Just like Jesus said, when two or three people gather together in the name of God, that's what we're doing here. You know what I'm saying? We're having the Last Supper. Listen, it goes a long way. We're doing a whole lot of it here. But anyway, so now just to get back to spirituality a little bit, especially if this is the first time, if you're coming back, you already know this is the part we got to go in on that thing, because if you could get that, nigga, you good. You good. You good. If you understand what spirituality, you good. You goody good. Hold up just a second here. Seems like this shit wanna die on me and shit. Don't do that. Mm-mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. Have to bring that ass back alive. But anyway, so when we're talking about spirituality as a spiritual healer, obviously, you could see the relationship here in the word spiritual and spirituality. What that is pretty much is telling you about your story. It's talking about you. It's your manual. It's your book. You know what I'm saying? It's your book. It's your story. It's your money, and you want it now. It's yours. You got it. You know what I'm saying? Hold up, niggas. Hold up. Mm. So now it's only right when I talk about spirituality, for me to give you a little bit of background of what spirituality is, but most importantly, if you understand what spirituality is, then you truly understand it is you. Until you make anything that is worth of something part of your life, then it means nothing. Well, one of the biggest misconception of people looking at spirituality, they say it's not part of their life. It's over there due to ignorance. But what I'm truly saying on on this end, or from this perspective, what I'm trying to tell you is because you keep it out of your life, it's not going to mean anything. And that's just the way things work. Anything that's not part of your life, it's not part of your life. How is it going to be meaningful? So it's tomatoes, tomatoes. How do you want it? But but just know the fact that this is not, you're not looking at it from part of your life. It doesn't. I mean, it may not be active in your life, but it's definitely, you know, out of ignorance, out of you not knowing your true nature. Because if you know your true nature, then you would understand everything is about you. Then you would understand even yourself. You are a thinking being, a living mind. Everything you do, our life is based on our thoughts. You hear it all the time. They just don't call it spirituality, but then niggas would tell you, you want to change your life, change your thoughts. What the fuck does that mean? So you are a thinking being. Your ascension has to do with the type of knowledge that you are processing. What type of food are you eating? And yes, knowledge is food. So when you, even just by looking at this from this perspective, that's already a higher consciousness. You know what I'm saying? A higher consciousness simply means it's the type of consciousness that goes beyond what is just in front of you. And that's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with spirituality, when you're dealing with the occult. The whole purpose is to give you a higher consciousness. It's to get you to become more aware, or to have a higher awareness of what's around you. That's why the fucking Indian now, at that point, they would come in and let you know this world is a fucking illusion. The purpose of telling you that is for you to bypass that, for you to be aware of it, first of all, I should have said. But then, but by you understand it alone, that's how you bypass it as well. Oh, shit. Hmm. So the name of the game, and I do have a recording now. If this is the first time, I got a library for you guys. Check out, wisdom is your survival kit down here. That's a survival kit. That's what makes knowledge very powerful, because it empowers us. So the true power is you. Knowledge is just, you know what I'm saying, the that's why you have to become the knowledge. But anyway, to get back to spirituality here again, just to have that understanding in itself is already a higher consciousness. And that's what you do. That's why knowing yourself will set you free. You know. So I was a little bit inspired to talk about this because, I realize, you know, let's just say when people are referring to, let's just say, the ancient people, right? When we look at Egypt and all that kind of stuff, and also there's a brother too. I'm not calling out no names, but it's almost like what this nigga talking about. It's like, referring to the ancient. It's like, there were aliens among us. Hey, I don't know. I mean, may well be, but I realized the reason of them saying that, though, or that brother saying that, is that conception, or that preconception of ancient people were stupid. Do you see what I'm saying? It's almost like, oh no, it couldn't be these niggas. They had to be fucking aliens. Why? Because when we look at the primitive men, you know what I'm saying, niggas that got huts and shit, you know what I'm saying, niggas in Africa, like I'm from Haiti, like the countryside of Haiti, niggas got huts and all that shit. We tend to look at this shit as there's no evolution. It's ancient. It's not changing. There's no progress. So therefore, these people are in so many words, I mean, they're not as smart as you are today. And my friend, I'm here to let you know that is not the case at all. That is a misconception. So if we're saying aliens, I don't know. I mean, I don't resonate with that at all. Because if that's the case, then we are suppressing our higher consciousness. Do you see what I'm trying to say? It's like, depending on, so now we're looking at them like there's no way these niggas would know about math, like mathematics. And that's not true. That's not true at all. When you look at ancient Egypt, that's why niggas tell you that's where knowledge comes from. The reason why knowledge actually came from there. Oh, anyway, shit, I forgot. I was talking about spirituality for a minute. Essentially, niggas, spirituality is just a life. If this is your first time here, I suggest you watch my other shit. Obviously, I just jump into that. But just to summarize for you, the misconception of spirituality being outside of you because you don't relate to it, because you are not conditioned to look at it that way, is out of ignorance. Because the more you get to know your nature, then you know that spirituality is your life. The more you get to know yourself, just like I was just saying, to change your life, to change your thoughts. And I'm not talking about just changing your ideas, but your frequency, the quality of your thinking. That's what this is referring to. So I'm saying all of that to say, like, if only you could see that part of you, you understand that part of you, then, you're able to look at yourself from a different perspective. That's when at this point you start looking at yourself being more than just flesh and bones, or you start looking at life more than just dick and pussy. But the reality of that is, for you to see that, you just need to have a deeper consciousness. That's all that is. That's why when you don't acknowledge spirituality as part of your life, is just total ignorant. It's ignorance. That's all that is. But anyway, now let's proceed into our higher consciousness. You know what I'm saying? Hey, y'all motherfuckers okay? Okay. Y'all niggas good? Y'all good? All right, all right, all right, all right. Mhm. As long as y'all niggas good, nigga, I'm good. You feel me? So now, going back to, the whole idea of looking at ancient, let's just say, world. Oh, no, no, no. This is where I was going with it. Yes, yes. Okay, let me finish that up first. So the whole idea of us looking at, let's just say, the ancients, because they were living in huts. You know what I'm saying? These niggas didn't have, let's just say, fucking electricity, or there was no Wi-Fi. To think that we are smarter than them, that is a total misconception. That's another, like, you know what I'm saying? Another, I mean, it's based out of fucking ignorance. Again, so how do you look at our evolution? Is it being seen from adapting to a new environment? Or is it, or are you looking at it? Because the fact is, when we're talking about, let's just say now we have Wi Fi, this is just a new environment. let's just say my son. I mean, I do know how to type. Let's just say if I didn't, you know how to use a computer, and my son is using the computer. Does that make him smarter than me? Or he simply adapted to his environment. Meaning, when I was growing up, I didn't have a computer, so therefore, I'm not gonna be as savvy as this nigga is. Isn't that what we're saying when we're talking about the generation? What the fuck we call these niggas, man? That's a name we have. Millennial. Yeah, I think that's the term that we use for them. Whatever the fuck, right? These niggas are simply adapting to their environment. The environment now today, well, it's computerized, it's all that shit. So of course they're gonna know how to use it. But if my son were to think because he know how to use a computer, he's smarter than me, nigga think again. Nigga think again. And I feel like a lot of us, we are approaching life with that mentality, which is, and when we do that, we're not looking at the higher consciousness here. Now we're just looking at our environment. So now progress or evolution now, like the modern day, what I'm saying? There's nothing in you. I'll give you a perfect. Let me just. I use that example every day. I was born in Haiti. I'm 41 years old, right? And that part is very important because I'm just showing you, let's just say, 30 years ago. I'm not even going back to the ancient niggas. I'm talking about 30 years ago. My memory when I was 10, 9 years old, because I didn't have, let's just say, a phone or a cellular phone or anything like that. We had phones. I had probably 7 or 8 friends that I had, and I memorized their telephone number by heart. I knew their numbers like. Duh, 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 duh. I would meet somebody, let's just say today, especially a girl you already know what I'm saying, what's your number, you know what I'm saying, all that shit, you memorize the shit, you know the number. Or if you had to write it down real quick, you know what I'm saying, and you glance at it again, okay, Nate, bitch, I got you. But today, here I am, fast forward with technology as it is, this evolution shit, my memory doesn't work the same. I'm not gonna lie to you. Shit, nigga, I struggle to remember. Like right now, there's only two numbers that I know, and that's because I force myself to remember those. It's my own telephone number. I mean, of course, I didn't have to force myself for that one, and my daughter's number. And I had to say something to myself. I'm like, nigga, come on now. If you lose your phone, you mean to tell me you can't even call your daughter, nigga? I had to kick that shit. I had to kick my own ass on that one. I'm like, come on, nigga, come on now. You got to pick it up, baby, pick it up. So I'm telling you all of that to say, here we are, like just 30 years or 35 years apart. We're not even going back to ancient Egypt. So just to show you the type of memory that we used to have, we don't even have that today. Meanwhile, if you want to talk about evolution, laptop and all that shit is there. So in that sense, how am I better than what I was? Do you see what I'm trying to say? Because when we're judging, let's just say, evolution, we tend to look at it from a linear perspective. We look at it, even our understanding of progress, it's just crazy. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm guessing a lot of people, let's just say, when you look at, there has to be some fucking aliens that give us knowledge because we're looking at the ancient from that perspective. These niggas were walking around, let's just say, with spears and all that shit. There's no way they were knowledgeable. Like, nigga, what? That's not true at all. That's why you'll see if you go back, if you ever study any type of sacred knowledge, you'll see that the spiritualist, meaning the ones who have activated, who have a higher consciousness, that higher consciousness permeated in all other aspects of their lives. That's why you'll see even today, a lot of what the Kabbalion call the material scientist, they're still studying what these niggas did in the fucking past. And the reason why they were able to do certain things, that's because they were in their highest state of consciousness. When you in your higher state of consciousness, you learn better. Mathematics and shit. Now you see things better. In other words, for us to truly do more, we had to become more. Because a lot of us spiritualists were more in terms of our consciousness, more in tune with knowledge. Nigga, you know what? I'm fucking wasting my time. Let's talk about the fucking Dogons, nigga. If you know anything about the Dogons were like, and still in Africa today, there was a documentary where you would have certain scientists that would go and ask these niggas questions. They would tell you this is how the stars are, this all this shit is. Was there fucking aliens there? Or did they talk to some fucking? I don't know. It does. Yeah, I don't know. The whole alien shit. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like, and then because I guess the reasoning behind it, what they're trying to say is after the aliens left, that high civilization that we had also left. So it had to be the fucking aliens that introduced it. Then when they took off, they took the knowledge with them. Nah, man. Let's just say I don't see it that way at all. Because again, I'm trying to show you, because these niggas didn't have as many distraction as we have today. The more connected you are with nature, of course, I mean, it's my belief that you're going to be better in all different areas. That's why if you study any ancient terms, everything the fucking material scientists are studying now, these niggas already knew it. And it's not because of aliens, man. I mean, if that's the case, then I don't know. What would you say about the today Dogons living in Africa, niggas? You know what I'm saying? They don't have computer like you. You know what I'm saying? They're not as civilized as you are, but yet inherently they're like whole. Like I think, well, I know, it comes with, it's like once you tap into that higher consciousness, you're able to see everything else around you. Even when we're talking about, mathematics, the sacred geometry. Come on, man. If you go and study, I don't know, like which one am I saying here? Well, I mean, Egypt, it was pretty much the foundation for all of that shit. That's where science and all that shit. Because us spiritualists, right? We don't suppress science. Our science is done on a higher level. You know what I'm saying? Niggas, they know how. You know what I'm saying? The sun, what the sun represented, and all that shit. They have it in their text. But now, if you're saying a fucking alien wrote that text, I don't know. I don't know. I would have to respectfully disagree on that one, bro. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I don't know, man. And here's something else too. Understand, even when we're talking about time, evolution. our interpretation of time is all fucked up too, because we're not looking at time from a higher consciousness. Our interpretation of time is more on a linear perspective, meaning that's how we look at evolution. Then you have a calendar and a watch to back your shit up, but this is all fucking this is a shit show. It's all created by you. It's all in your mind. Meaning the car that you had last year, now you have a newer car. 2023. The cars in the 90s. I get it, but that is that shit, that linear progress or evolution is something that you create in your mind due to the way your due to your perception. You see what I'm saying? Because that's what I mean. If my memory is not better than I was when I was 12 years old or 10 years old, I mean, what? How am I better now than when I was then fucking 10 years old when I had the ability, you know what I'm saying, to memorize fucking 20 phone numbers? You probably if you got to say it twice, you don't have to say it 3 times, baby. I got it. You know what I'm saying? Now, a nigga may have to say that shit to me 100 times, and I'll still forget it. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So if we're talking about even time, and there's a whole pressure that comes with it, that's why we die faster too. You know what I'm saying? Because at this point, time becomes very limited. So that's why we always in a rush. Time is money, isn't that what we say? You know what I'm saying? That's because you're looking at time from a linear perspective, but you also look at evolution in that same perspective. So because you're looking at it from that perspective, there's no way in hell, you know what I'm saying, niggas walking around in a fucking hut would have knowledge. Just because you living and you have adopted a different environment, then you saying you're smarter than them. Y'all niggas got nerves. Meanwhile, till this motherfucking day, those wonders, we are not able to do it because the reason why, in my opinion, is because we're not in the level that they are. See, when you become more, I think you do more. And these niggas were vibrating on that frequency. There were that and more. So therefore, it reflected in their environment. So even if we're going back to time for a little bit, right? So it's like, time, like niggas are time sick, man. So then you have a calendar, that is showing you, what I'm saying, somehow there's some fucking evolution that's taking place. Let me ask you this. Let me get closer, Nick. Do you think a dog or a cat think we're living in the fucking 21st century? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? You let me know. You see what I'm saying? You think a cat is living, you know what I'm saying? But because their perspective of time is different, they always stay in the present too. Past and present and future all becomes one. When you're living in the fucking hut, you know what I'm saying? You in touch even with your childhood, although you grown, but you still in touch with everything because everything stays the same. Kids are still playing, doing the same game that they were doing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it doesn't stop you from growing as a person. Of course, you have more wisdom, more knowledge, but yet you're still in touch with your fucking with all of you. Whereas for us now, it's different though. because we change, and not to say change is not good. In fact, I beg to differ, right? Or I beg the difference. Whatever the fuck, nigga. I'm Haitian. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying here is that, you know what I'm saying? The whole conception, even of time or that evolution shit, it's a fucking abstraction. It's not. It's not real, dog. It's the 21st century. That's based on your calendar, nigga. But I would tell you the one thing I realize about time, though. Time is cyclical. That is for sure. Because I see that in nature. Meaning we going through a cycle. The cycle is different. That's why we could talk about the golden age. We could talk about, so now for me, my interpretation of why we are not as knowledgeable as we used to be back in the days, which is coming back again, we're going through our cycles. Not because there were fucking aliens that were out there and then they left. Nah. Just like you could feel like we're picking up on our consciousness. Just like when we talk about the Aquarius age, right? How the lady pouring, there's a lot more knowledge that's become available to us. I believe for me, I see cycle in nature. You know what I'm saying? There was winter last. I mean, well, I just don't want to say it. Well, you could say it last year, but okay, good. But I know there was summer, and summer is coming back again. There was winter. I know winter's gonna come back again. That much I know. You know what I'm saying? And we also going through that same cycle as well. We do it in our life, although you may seem like it may appear like there's a linear, thing that's taking place. Meaning there has to be some sort of evolution because I was a kid and now, what I'm saying, I was 10, now I'm 41. But ultimately this is all a cycle because as I came in, that's how I'm going out. Well, not necessarily the same way, but I hope you get the point of what I'm saying. To me, it's all cyclical. I don't want to say that's why, but if you see Inception, right? When the bitch, she drew the fucking circle. In my opinion, that's what the Earth plane represent. It's cyclical, and that cycle is taking place in different levels, in all levels. That's why we also have reincarnation too. It's all a fucking cycle. And the reason why I'm saying this because when you start looking at life with a higher consciousness, well, it changes you. You know what I'm saying? I believe a lot of our ancestors, they lived a lot longer. Well, they were not time sick, man. These niggas weren't worried about that. They didn't have a watch like you do, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe, and that calendar too. I can't recall what's the name of that calendar, but pretty much, the calendar that started tracking time and shit. So that's why these niggas, you going through a time machine. You know what I'm saying? Y'all niggas going through a time machine, man. You know what I'm saying? Whereas to me, I gotta say to me, based on my observation, but most importantly, having a higher consciousness, that's why for me, I can't really say, yo, just because you're in a modern world, which is a new environment, because you adapt well to your new environment. You know what I'm saying? You got a 2024 cars, you know what I'm saying? And there's some such of evolution that's taking place. Again, do you think a dog is like, okay, we're in the 21st century? Nah, it's something we fabricated. And that's also another reason why most will tell you time is an illusion. It doesn't exist. But time, in looking at it from a cyclical perspective, is different. Then you understand why it goes around, comes right back around. So for us, we having a certain state of mind, let's just say losing our knowledge, now us going back to it, it's all, I mean, this is the cycle. It's nothing but the cycle. More people are waking up, spirituality is being talked about a lot more. Well, guess what? This is the beginning stage of it. While spirituality is being talked more about, these niggas, these ancient niggas, were living that shit more and more. They were that, they understood that's what it was. So because of the way we look at time, and so that's why we tend to look at them as this is ancient. Or maybe you may think you're smarter than them. And you might want to think twice about that. That's not the case at all. So having a higher consciousness, again, is the name of the game, because now, just like I was telling you about time, now you're able to look at things from a different perspective. A higher consciousness allows you to see this world from a quality perspective instead of the quantity perspective. When you're looking at a linear timeline, you're looking at shit as an evolution in that perspective. You're looking at quantity, not quality. That's why, hey, the more things change, the more they fucking remain the same. Have at it. The more they change, the more they remain the same. You know what I'm saying? You feel it? So again, higher consciousness is the name of the game. And the importance of having a higher consciousness now, it pretty much enable you to have a greater reality, to see things on a higher perspective. And ironically, with a higher perspective, which is another way of saying that, is knowing the truth will set you free. So a lot of us, in my opinion, were living a lot longer. That was due to, like you were living in the present. I would have to say one major component of that would have to be that. Because to me, not to be repetitive here, but I noticed because, I've been following, listening to a couple things, and I'm like, okay. Because ironic, a lot of us, and this is the thing too, I realize, you know, we claim to, have a fucking African mind, but you truly have a European perspective on Africa. Because again, whenever you're looking at huts like this is ancient and now you somehow, no, it's just a different environment, dog. When you're talking about the modern day, you're talking about more shit that's being created. Today, you have so many, you have blenders, you have motherfucking juicers, you got all shit that I'm saying, and then you call that evolution or maybe the modern day. You know what I'm saying? Now you don't have to dice your, let's just say your onions the way you used to. You got this thing, you could put it in there, you dice it in there, bam, you slice that shit up. You know what I'm saying? Then you say you're smarter than somebody that was chopping it up. I'm saying, see how crazy that shit is? Nah, you just adapted to your environment. This is a new environment. And to go back to the Doggone, like shit. I was watching this documentary where they were showing some scientists that would go back to them, ask these guys questions, and then they would go do their fucking experiment, whatever they do. They're like, how the fuck did these motherfuckers know that? Well, guess what? What those Guns brothers were doing were no different from what our ancestors was doing using spirituality. In fact, the more science, the more you learn about science, then you go back into the sacred text. These things were already said. We already know all these things, man, because they were on a higher state of consciousness. Not necessarily because of fucking aliens, dog. Because looking at it from a alien perspective is neglecting our higher self and how far it actually goes. You see, when these niggas, because of their consciousness, they understood sound, they understood music, they knew mathematics. Come on now, niggas. Come on now. But hey, to each his own. That's just my 2 cents on it. You know what I'm saying? And I really don't think that I need to, talk too much about that. But again, it's just to show, like a higher consciousness too, man. It's the way to go. That's the reconnection that we're doing. That is part of the cycle too. That could be a reason why a nigga like me came back too. Come on, man. We come to do realignments over here. You know what I'm saying? We come to do realignments. Oh, we definitely understood the assignment, you know, and and just so you guys know too, and I was just using the memory part, and I'm not even well in my mind. I just don't think I am that old, right? And you know what I'm saying? It's not even 100 years old. Look at how we degenerate, really, because that's what's happening. More greed, more bullshit, less intensity, less integrity, less love, less and all that shit. And again, yesterday I talked about the whole fucking what was I talking about? I was talking about the Gnostics. And that degeneration, that's what they were talking about when they're talking about like a lesser self. Not the trees, not nature, not none of that shit. And that's what also made it an esoteric knowledge because it's not to be taken literal. Because we understood too. That's why you'll see, come on, oh shit. Oh my God. That's why you'll see, even in a lot of those texts, like if you read the what is it called? The Veda or Veda, whatever the fuck they pronounce it, the Gita, the fucking Egyptian Book of the Dead, a lot of these things are even written in poetry. So even then, I'm trying to show you, we understood the power of words because we understood it wasn't necessarily what you were saying, but how it's being said. And how it's being said, that's where the higher consciousness is. And we also understood, what I'm saying, we had to hide that type of knowledge too. It has to be. Even for me today, when I'm looking at everybody's talking about magic, everybody's doing black magic and all that shit, it's nothing but people hurting themselves. Because, I went through a couple of things myself where motherfuckers trying to put black magic on me. Nigga, what? You just didn't know. You didn't know, nigga. You didn't know. I get it. Because a lot of fucking immature people have access to certain knowledge now. You know what I'm saying? And nigga, I'm fucking Haitian, so I know. Trust me. A lot of these dumb niggas, when they not happy about certain things, they go ahead and do spells on people. Or a man said no to you, a man don't want you, you're just gonna go and get him. For what? Immature. You're doing nothing but fucking hurting yourself. That's why for me, and the ancient also they understood just to show you how sharp these motherfuckers were. That's why we use symbol too. To see, I'll give you another example. In a lot of those sacred texts, we talk about kingdom, we talk about your house. Those symbols were used on purpose, because it requires for you to understand what a house is. So then when they talking about house, then that's what the occult language is. I'll give you perfect example. The first time I saw the woman king, the woman king, it's just simply talking about one personality. It's one person. All of those different characters were used just to talk about one person, which is the king. A kingdom is represent yourself. The woman king was the intuition. That's why the king was not fucking her, never fuck with her, but she was more acknowledged than the women that he was fucking. And at the end of the movie, your intuition is worthy. It sits with you. Because when you sit on your throne, that's where you reach your higher state of consciousness. Again, those are all symbolic shit that is being used, but it's also being used for a purpose too. That's the language of the occult. Every profession has a different type of vernacular. But again, it's all related to a higher consciousness. We looked at everything as a symbol. And when you truly understand it, that's exactly what it is. I represent a certain energy. Someone else, another teacher, there's different type of energies that you are around. So myself, I'm nothing but a symbol. I represent something. So my spirit is crystallized in my body. That's the power of crystal too, if you know anything about crystal. There's energy in crystal. It's crystallized in that crystal. That crystal has this type of thing, has that type of thing. But anyway, not to digress or not to, I just want to stay relevant here too. But when you have that type of information into the wrong person, meaning the mind that is not ready to actually use it, that's when you'll see people they just doing magic on other people. This bitch don't want me. I see a nigga on YouTube. Nigga said, you want to get your ex? This nigga give you like some salt water that you gotta drink. Now, granted, why the fuck would you want to do that? Now, his recipe made it work. I know that shit's not gonna work on me. Let's just say, nah, it's not gonna work on me because I'm too conscious for it. And here's something else too. Well, I'm not gonna go there. But anyway, but just to show you, like that's why I understood. Those mystery schools. Certain things you cannot just give it to anybody. You got to put the work in for it. Otherwise, you just gonna. That's why you have black magic. But ultimately, it's just magic. But you're saying black magic now because people are using it. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker's not happy with another motherfucker. A nigga said no to you. Then you just want to kill this nigga. What? Nigga, you can't take no. But you can suck a whole lot of dick, can't you? Nigga will suck all type of dicks, but will not be able to take no. The codependency, the the immaturity, like the damn, that shit is y'all niggas are wilding out here. But again, where the fuck was I going to go with that? But anyway, I'm going to keep this one short though, because again, we're talking about a higher state of consciousness. I've seen this video on I think a friend of mine. Shout out to that nigga. Oh damn, brother. Sorry, dog. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I shouted you out already. You know what I'm saying? That's my nigga, but for some reason the name is not coming to me. I don't mean no disrespect, brother, because he always sent me like videos and shit. One of the videos that he sent me, there was an African kid playing on top of a crocodile. You know how those you know how the Jehovah Witness always show you they have those little booklets that will show you, when the new world comes, the animals will be playing with kids and all that shit will be doing. And African niggas already doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? Niggas are playing with lion and shit. You know what I'm saying? And meanwhile, the lion is the lion. But for you to have that type of connection with the lion, nigga, you gotta have a higher state of consciousness, man. Having those kids playing with fucking gladiator, I mean with gladiators, pretty much. Anyway, crocodiles, however the fuck I mean, it's a higher consciousness, man. When a brother could just touch the ground and tell you, you know what I'm saying, 5 miles you go right, this is what you're gonna find. Nigga, how the fuck do you think Haiti had his fucking independence? When you become more, you do more. That's why the Haitian Revolution was successful because we had became more. You want to become more, nigga. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And of course, through the cycle, whatever shit happens. You know what I'm saying? Look at shit. Haitians 5 years ago and Haitians now are two different type of Haitians, my nigga. Hmm. When we created Creole, everything we were saying was slang. And when we talk slang, there's an energy that it comes with. One of our slang, we used to say coupe tete boule kai, that was referring to beheaded and burning down houses. A lot of people take it little. No, it wasn't literal at all because we understood what they were doing to us, which was changing your perspective. So you have to beheaded that. You have to chop that off, baby. And the house was the foundation. That's what they were doing to you. So we understood the assignment. That's what we got to do. We got to reverse that. Become more, baby. Meaning tap into a higher consciousness in your reality, then you're going to do more. On that note, I'm going to leave it there. You already know to give is to receive. Check it out. It's nothing but love. I sent. Blah, my leg. Be more, nigga.